Hey guys, Mike here. So what a roller coaster of a day, and it definitely was. We're going to go over a few things, go over the charts, got some big stuff coming out tomorrow, which will definitely affect the market, which we will absolutely look at as well. And I'm going to ask you something about a particular stock. Maybe you can tell me what big money is actually doing. And you can see the roller coaster. I mean, 1% moves up and down, 0.75% moves all day long. And people were cashing in, right? I mean, I think the people probably selling the options to us to make more money, but the people kept getting trapped. But hopefully you made some money today. Let me know in the comments if you actually did with that roller coaster and the volatility. But tomorrow, understand PPI is what it's all about. It's at 8:30 before the market opens up right there. And so today was like a no news day. So that's why it was surprised to see that much volatility. And I want to look at this real quick with you because, here is what you see going on the last couple times. We've had PPI here. And you can see we missed it by a country mile in July. Pay close attention to that. We're going to look at the last two times this actually happened. And then, of course, here's June where we actually came in way under what the forecast was, so total opposite. And this is one reason you're seeing, if you didn't see it, I mean, a lot of VIX calls coming in. These are mostly probably hedges, but, some people may really believe that VIX is going to spike, and it absolutely could. There's no doubt about it, but I saw QQQ puts rolling in. Anything you can imagine rolling in before tomorrow comes along and stuff. So no surprise there at all. And I mean, sometimes those options are cheap or whatever, so it's a good way to hedge is by doing the VIX. And when you look at this, here's, as I was telling members, here's the last couple of times this has happened on PPI, what you see here. And remember, this right here is July, right? So we missed it by a country mile. And either way, it's going to be, it's been big moves the last couple of times for sure. But when you look right here, you can see, in the after hours market, nothing was going on. And then, of course, we get the news out. You get the FU candle for people in options. It kills premiums both ways. And then, boom, end up skyrocketing up about 1.51% going into lunch. And then absolutely dumping it for the rest of the day. So nice move up there. And this is when we missed about a country mile. Remember that? Now, June, we actually made it, and it don't seem to matter, right? Because here's what happens in the after hours. Nothing much was going on at all as we scroll across right here. And then, of course, when we get all the way to the right, you can see we end up dumping at open and bell right there after we get the FU candle on the news release, or you call it a news candle, as you can see. And so that kills premium both ways. And then we dump it open. We do the opposite of what we actually did in July, and then end up moving up the rest of the day after lunch right there, as you can see. So, it's funny. It doesn't seem to really matter, right? It's like, oh, look, we made it. Nope, I'm going to move down. Oh, no, we didn't make it. We're going to move up. So, total opposite moves in the last two times. So we'll see what we come in at tomorrow. Again, we're coming in from where the point we moved down a lot in the market, right? So might be a totally different reaction tomorrow. But, looking at the future trading, see, we basically did nothing all day today. And when it was all said and done, ended up almost flat. So you're just sitting there trying to get above that trend line, which we marked out. So if we can get a definitive close above it, you can see it move rather quickly. I don't think we're going to come down here. Maybe. I mean, it'd be nice to get that in the morning, to come down right there and grab that liquidity and bounce, because that would be a really nice place to play a bounce. But, I just don't have much hope it's coming back down there right now. If you don't see it at open and bell, it's probably going up for sure, but it will be nice. Still looking for it, but that's a big move down. Okay, but as I showed you the last two times we've done it, we've gotten some pretty dang big moves down. Now, real quick before we get in the charts, look where money's been going. Obviously, so far in the third quarter, which is, not been going on that long, you can see bonds are actually outperforming the stock market, right? So a lot of people are still rolling into different forms of bonds, whether it's TLT or whatever. And so they're doing pretty well, but what is that? It's defensive play, right? That's what's happening. Okay. What else been getting money rolled into it? Well, VOO, VOO, right? And so that is the Vanguard ETF that follows the S&P. So it shouldn't be too big of a surprise, right? $3.5 billion worth rolling in there. But then right behind it is Soxel. Okay. Why did Soxel end up getting a whole bunch of money rolled into it over the last week? Well, because this is a 3x leverage ETF to the bull side, right? Because it came down into support. This has been sitting there, a name support, but this has been a support resistance area going back to 2020. And so, did it get a bounce? Absolutely got a bounce, right? So that makes sense. And semiconductors have been absolutely crushed. And then, of course, looking at the indexes, you can see plain Jane, we did nothing. I think we actually ended up literally 0% move, right? And it's all said and done. But we're maintaining the 100. Obviously, 50's up here. And again, we were going to get to find out, right? Are we in this bearish, some people say bearish flag pattern, whatever you want to call it, right? It's a channel. If it moves to the top, it's a channel. If you move up in here and we look at the wedge here, it is a rising wedge, which is bearish, okay? And so you come over here and you can see it. So we're still sitting in that right now. We got to find out. Tomorrow's probably going to tell us what's going to happen, right? So we get a big move down, boom. If we get a big move up, then guess what? We're in the channel, okay? And so that's what we're going to look for. The next one, if it does move up, is to test the 50 moving average, okay? Now, and of course, that also would fill that gap. Same thing with the Qs. We didn't get a retest of the 100 today. Came very close, right? But it's still sitting in that same situation the S&P is sitting in. And so we'll see. Tomorrow is either going to push us through that 100 or we're going to get rejected and then start heading back down, okay? IWM still kind of a hot mess. It's below the 50. It closed below the 100 today. 200 right down below there. Was building out structure, which, you know, would have been nice to see or whatever, because we were sitting here going, okay, there's a low, there's your high, there's your higher low, but we did not set a higher high. And we do not want to break this level right here, because obviously that would be a lower low. So not good there. So again, this one's kind of a mess. Still working to see if it's ever going to get any love. And of course, what made things so volatile today was your bond spreads, right? I mean, the spreads started going back up again. And of course, why did the spreads start going back up again? Well, because the volatility on those spreads started to pick back up. Okay, and so not a great thing, that's for sure. If you want to see the market go back up, and you can see right here, here's the volatility. That's what I was saying. It's not just the VIX, it's also this volatility for the bonds. And so big spike back up today. So again, we'll see if that's going to continue or not. As it was coming down, and guess what? The market was responding, right? This is an inverse relationship. If this volatility comes down, especially if it spikes way down, then, you know, the market is going to absolutely move up quickly. But if that volatility stays up, you know, it's kind of iffy. People don't know, like, yeah, maybe we're going to move up, maybe not. You know, obviously seasonality, not the greatest or whatever. Coming in September, October-ish, what do we do? And that's why I'll ask a question about this one stock. I just don't get, me and the members can't really figure out why they're actually doing it. But when you look at NVDA, for example, we're going to talk about semiconductors today because they were the top performer. You know, that 21 moving average, right? That's what I like to use on this. Maybe you can use a 20, but it got rejected this morning. It was moved up really good, up over 5%. Boom, slapped down. Never got past it. Why do I like to use a 21? Because you can see on the big rides up, it kind of bounces off of it the whole way up. And then as we gotten up here, you can see, you know, bounce, and then all of a sudden it's downtrend, rejection. And so now we're sitting here with third rejection, okay? Still above that trend line though, so that is a good thing there. So that's why I like to use a 21. SMCI was a big mover today. It was up over 10% at one point in time, but it started selling down with everything else. And so, you know, the big thing about this one, it did hold on to this little tree limb. I mean, very, very little. I think I put this in Sunday's video if I'm not mistaken, because that breaks. See you later. And the market knows that. So again, it was at the 0.79 fib, a lot of confluence. So of course, like I said, it better bounce because it has to bounce, right? When it comes to moving averages, again, it's surpassed most of its moving averages already, but it still has, I believe that's the 100, 200 weekly moving average below it. If it does fall, which of course comes in line to what is real support for this one. But you can see on a short-term time frame, I mean, it's trying to build out some market structure down here. It's entering this gap right here. It's grabbing liquidity right there. And so again, if it can get above 581.19, then yes, you should be a nice little move back up there to around 638. Probably quickly because it's being that gap and there won't be any resistance right there for it. But again, we'll mark this area right here out because that is liquidity if we decide to move down in the morning and then bounce or move up and then come back down. So we'll mark that out as well. And again, this one is kind of hanging on for dear life. It's a high flyer, so we'll see what they want to do with this one for sure. I know a lot of people were playing options on this one today. Supposedly, you know how at 888, it kept either getting rejected or bouncing. Watch 555 to become that new number. See what happens on that right there. Now, when you look over here at ARM, and this is the one I was going to ask you guys about, like this one obviously got destroyed, down almost 50% right, on the sell-off and stuff. So it's been an absolutely nice bounce right there. You know, you look at the moving average above the 200. It's tested it twice. It's moved up. And so looking at this one, I mean, it makes sense, you know, where it bounced. I'd like to see it come down a little bit farther before it bounced. But the big question is, well, I remember it brought it to my attention, and I saw it, was for some odd reason, I won't show you what he posted, but I'll show you what I posted, millions worth of call leaps for December 18, 2026, some options for January 2025, and this ain't nothing. This is just a fraction of what we saw come through. And I'm curious, why do you guys think they're buying on leaps from 2026? You know, and I look at this one, I'll give credit where credit is due as far as like, hey, at least they do have some pretty good margins, right? Because a lot of these companies, they just have crap margins, and at least this one actually does have pretty good dang margins, which I'm glad to see. Because some of them, I mean, again, you're talking about like 15% margins, 10%. It's like, really? You know, come on. And then when you look over here, you know, you can see obviously gross margin, 97.4%, operating 47.7%. And so the margins are really good. Another thing they do, you know, they missed barely when it comes to their revenues and EPS and stuff. But one thing they do, a lot of people don't do is, or a lot of companies don't have is, they do have a lot of IP, and so they're getting royalties from over 1,000 partners. And I'm talking about like NVDA, Microsoft, Apple, Google, these kind of things. So they are bringing in money. I'm just trying to figure out, like, you know, what in the world are they buying in leaps right now on this particular company? Like, somebody has to know something of what they see happening. I don't see them rolling in for NVIDIA or AMD or any of those other semiconductor companies, but for some reason for ARM, they are rolling them in. And, you know, like one of my members said, usually they would buy the shares. They wouldn't just go out and buy all these leaps, but it was just millions and millions of dollars worth of 2026 leaps. So if you happen to know anything, please put it down in the comments. I'm sure we would greatly appreciate it, and I can try to share it with everybody for sure. Now, when you look at earnings tomorrow, again, you're looking at Home Depot. We'll have C. We'll have HUD 8. This is going to be the week we get to hear from the retailers. So we'll see how we are doing, of course. That will be interesting to find out. And we'll see with this data, you know, they're going to crap all over the market and stuff, and we're going to start heading back down and not really get a retest of that 50 in the S&P, or are they going to, you know, end up rocking us up and getting a test of that 50 moving average? So let me know in the comments if you have any interesting information about ARM, and let me know what you think is going to happen tomorrow with the market. I just will predict one thing: it will be extremely volatile. So anyway, I hope you guys got some out of it. Please hit the like, subscribe button on the way out, and I'll see you tomorrow.